Hey guys, what's up? Today's video is going to be another one in my ranking series that I'm doing on the channel, which is basically me going through categories of makeup and ranking them from the worst to the best. I've done bronzers already, which I can link up in the eye or down below in the description box, but today I'm going to tackle my highlighters, and I have 24 highlighters that I'm going to be going over, so it's going to be a little, shall we say, long. But I'm going to go through them as quickly and concisely as possible. And yeah, if you like ranking style videos or review videos or beauty videos, subscribe to my channel down below so you don't miss any of my uploads. And let's get into talking about these highlighters. Alright, so number 24 is going to go to my Cindy Lou Manizer by the Bbomb. The reason why this one is ranked at the bottom is not based on the formula, because I actually do think the formula is really nice. I have another the Bbomb highlighter that you'll see further down on the list. This one just is not a good shade for me. It's too pigmented, so when I put it on my cheekbones, it doesn't show up as a highlight. It more shows up as like a blush topper, which I'm not into those. I don't think that's like a necessary step for a lot of people to do. And frankly, I don't wanna do that step because I have tried to use it that way, but I don't like it. You know, it's a step I don't want to do. So that is why it is ranked at number 24. Now the next two highlighters are actually highlight palettes, and they're the only highlight palettes. I wanted to put these down more toward the bottom just because they are palettes, and I feel like highlighter palettes is not something I reach for a ton. So at number 23 is the Sleek Highlighting Palette in Solstice. Now this was a really raved about highlight when it first came out, and it has 4 different highlighters in there. 1 is cream and 3 are powders, but I only really typically use that 1 powder on the bottom left. So the other 3 colors I really don't get use out of, so that's another reason why it's lower. But the highlighter I do use out of this palette, it's interesting because it is like a good highlight, but I feel like it's just really powdery on the skin, and like it's a powder, so duh, it's powdery, but it just doesn't like mesh with my skin, at least. It just kind of looks heavy and just like too much. So I don't feel like I reach for this palette a lot, so that's why it's at number 24. My other highlighting palette is the Anastasia Moonchild palette. Now I lusted over this palette for a very long period of time. I just thought it was so unique, and at the time I feel like it was, and I never like bought it when it first released, but after a while I felt like using those like beautiful holographic, differently colored with the blues and the greens and the pink during the summer as just like a quick kind of makeup step. I could put that on and basically nothing else, and it looked fantastic. I loved it for that, and I do love the formula of the Anastasia highlights, and I do think they mesh with the skin well. It is down on the list just because I don't reach for these color highlights very often. Like I said, I really do like the formula and stuff. It's just basically functionality is the issue. But I do like it, and I would recommend it if you like different colored highlighters and not just like a champagne. But that's why the ABH Moonchild is at number 22. Moving on, number 21 is going to go to my Colourpop highlighter. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have a shade name on the back. And I knew the shade at one point, but I have since forgotten. But I go through phases. So I wanted to pick up a highlighter at the time that was kind of like an icy highlight. And I was looking at the Becca Pearl, but I was like, am I gonna wanna wear this for longer than a month or 2? You know, is this like obsession with an icy highlight going to pass? I didn't know. So I picked up the Colourpop because it was more affordable. And it is a nice icy highlight, but like I said with the Sleek palette, it's just heavy. It looks powdery. It's kind of chalky. I don't know if that's because of the shade. I know they've come out with more pressed formulas. You know, this is like an older pressed formula, so I've seen those go on really blinding and like mesh with the skin, so maybe I'll try those at some point. But this one is down on the list just because, not the color issue, it's more the like blending into my skin issue. So Yeah, it just doesn't work for me, but it is down there on the list. So number 20 at one point was a very raved about highlight and a very sought out highlight, and I found it by accident. This is the Wet n Wild's Precious Petals highlighter. When I first got this highlighter, I was obsessed. I thought it looked so good. I was so into it. And as I got like more into highlighters and purchasing different brands, different formulas and things, this one just kept not impressing me. Unfortunately, it's a good price. It's at the drugstore and everything. I don't know if the shade is great for me either. Like I thought in the beginning when I was using it, it was a good shade, but I don't know if it's perfect. I think it's a little dark for me. It's just not Bbomb, you know? I say that a lot about highlighters. If they're Bbomb, it's gonna be a Susan highlighter. But this Wet n Wild Precious Petals, not such a Bbomb highlight. It's good for a natural day, you know, but mostly I don't reach for it anymore. Number 19 is gonna go to my Jeffree Star Siberian Gold highlighter. When I got this highlighter, I thought it was going to be the most blinding thing in the entire world, like straight metallic nail polish on my face, you know? It wasn't. It wasn't. It's a good highlighter, don't get me wrong. I like it. It's not what I typically reach for a ton, which is surprising to me. I know people do wet highlighters like you do with eyeshadows, like some Fix Plus or some setting spray or whatever, water. I don't do that. I just want it to be blinding by itself. I also think the color Siberian Gold is a little dark for me, so there's that. I do like it. It's good. It's just not as blinding as I typically like, so that's why it's a little bit farther down on the list. I reach for it sometimes, but it's not an overall favorite. Moving down on the list at number 18 is gonna go to my Jouer highlight, and this is in the shade Rose Gold. This one surprised me. I tend to like a lot of Jouer products, and it's not that the formula didn't impress me, because it did. It's a beautiful highlight. It's not heavy, it's not chalky. It's not glittery, which I also don't like. I think maybe it's more the shade. It's a little bit darker, you know? So for me, it doesn't show up like blinding on my face, not because of the formula, but more because of the shade, I think. So that's a little disappointing. I was gonna pick up a different shade. Now I'm wishing I did, but I do wear it sometimes, especially like in the summer if I'm more tan. But number 17 is another shocking one for me. The Dose of Colors Decay collab in Fuego. I got this highlight in the second round that it came out in because there were 2 different collections, and I thought this highlight was gonna be blinding because I have another Dose of Colors highlighter, which is farther on the list. And it's just because the shade's okay, it works for me. It's just way more subtle than I thought it was gonna be. It's subtle. Yeah, it's shocking to me. It does have like flecks of glitter in it, but it doesn't come off on your face, which I do appreciate. And the shade is good, like I said, but it just is okay. It's not the worst highlighter, it's just not the best either, you know? So that's a little bit disappointing, a little bit shocking. Next on the list is one I think is one that a lot of people have tried by now. This was my original highlighter I put on my cheeks as a highlighter years ago, okay? It's the Bbomb Cindy Lou. Told you I had another Bbomb highlighter, and I do like this formula. It's a beautiful champagne color. It goes great on my skin tone. It blends really well. It's buildable. It's not as Bbomb as some highlighters that are coming up. And I think primarily that's why it's like down the list. It's not bad, I like it. But again, I have 24 highlighters, so there's gotta be selection at some point. I do use it, and I still really do like it. I just don't think it's my favorite. Next up is the first ofra highlighter I tried. I got it in epoxy charm, and that is the Rodeo Drive highlighter. This is a good shade for me. It's not perfect. I do think it's a little dark, just a little bit, so I can get away with it. And at first, I have to say I didn't like the ofra formula. I know, boo hiss, right? But I wasn't the biggest fan. I kept using it, and I turned out to actually like it more than I did in the beginning, which is great because then I felt like I was like in the cool club, liking ofra highlighters like everyone else, you know? And I do have 2 more, and they're farther down the list, but this is my least favorite of my ofra highlighters. If you like a blinding highlight, this is definitely a blinding formula. I will say that, but I do like it, just not an all favorite. Okay, moving along. So the next one I'm gonna talk about is kind of controversial, and it's also an eyeshadow, but I use it as a highlighter. Is that weird? I hope not. This is the Kat Von D Thunderstruck highlight. It's actually an eyeshadow, but I use it as a highlight. So we're just gonna pretend that it is. This one I picked up after just so much hype about it. I saw it in a lot of people's makeup collections and things, and I thought it was really unique, and it is. It's very unique. It's kind of like that icy highlight, but it has like a yellow shift, which I thought was really cool. But you might not know about all the controversy that's gone on with Kat Von D recently, and that's why a lot of people have canceled her, boycotted her, and stopped buying her products. And I'm not currently buying her products, but this is in my collection. And I do like it, but I have something similar, which is the next highlight. Because we want to talk about more positive things, right? So Physicians Formula Pearl, like super similar to the Kat Von D Thunderstruck eyeshadow. It's that like pearl icy highlight, and it does have a shift. It's not as yellow as the Thunderstruck is, but to me it gives off the same kind of look. So if you liked the look of that and you want to buy something, you know, different and obviously cheaper, this you can find at the drugstore, I would recommend it. It's more of like a cream to powder though. It's like a Colourpop Super Shock, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Maybe it was the colors I got, I don't know. But anyway, nonetheless, it's very blinding, very icy, and it's very similar to the Kat Von D one. I do like it, but again, it's not an overall favorite. And not an overall favorite formula either. I just like a powder. Could it just be a powder? Next up is the first of 4 Becca highlights that I own. I got this in a boxy charm as well, but it is the Becca Prosecco Pop highlight. This highlight is just as beautiful as any of my other Becca highlights. Same formula, same look, same blendability, same blindingness. It's just not a good color. It really isn't. It's very gold. It's very gold. So on me, I'm just not a fan. But I love the Becca highlights. I really do. It's just a shade. If you're a deeper skin tone than me, I would recommend. Okay, so next up at number 11 is another Becca highlighter, and this shade is in Moonstone. Now this is more of a lighter highlight on me, and I like it for that. Again, the Becca formula is very consistent throughout all the shades, I feel like. And so it was kind of hard to rank them in that sense, but I did it based on shade preference. So this isn't my absolute favorite shade. I like it more than Prosecco Pop, but it's just not a favorite shade. But it is good, and good for fair skin tones as well. It's going to go with a new highlighter, newish to me, and it is the Pixi Delicate Do highlight. Now, obviously this is like a duo, so it's not technically a palette, but it's not a single either, but I do really enjoy this highlight. At first, I didn't actually. I thought it wasn't doing much, but maybe I just had to dig into the product a little more, because once I did, it did go on the face really beautifully. It is buildable more so than blinding right off the bat, which could be a great thing for many people. I can use it, you know, day to day, or I can use it for, you know, a video, stuff like that. So it's very versatile, and I do like it. And it is like mid-range. It's not like cheap, but it's not like super highly priced either. So I like it for that too. But yeah, I really would recommend all of the highlighters I'm going to talk about in the top 10, obviously, because they're, you know, my favorites. Now next up is my Other Dose of Colors highlighter. This is actually a collab as well, but it's like a totally different formula than the Fuego highlighter that Disney and Katie came out with, which was in that really sparkly gold packaging. This is in collaboration with I Love Sarah E, I believe is how you pronounce her name, and it is in the shade Soulmate. She came out with 2 in her collab collection. This is the more golden one. There's a pink one as well. I think this one's still available on Ulta, I believe. If you're interested, you can check. But I thought when I got this at home, it was gonna be just not usable for me because it looks really dark in the pan. Even in swatches like on Ulta and things like that, I was a little bit worried. This is like one of my most metallic highlighters. So if you like a metallic highlight, this formula is amazing. I love it. It's so beautiful, and it takes a little bit more buffing, but I don't care because it's just blinding and beautiful and just it's so perfect. It's getting harder and harder going down the list of what would be my favorite and why, but this is definitely one I would recommend. Number 8 is gonna go to a really blinding highlight as well. A lot of these might be blinding, but this is the Pure Afterglow highlight. I got this after I saw somebody use it in a video, and I was just so excited because it looked metallic. And it is, and it's like a champagne, which is my ultimate favorite shade of highlight. Like a gold is okay, a pinky is okay, but a lot of the times I like champagne. And this one also smells like sweet stuff, like vanilla. That's also amazing. But this is a very super intense, blinding highlight. So if you're into that, this would be one you could check out. It's available at Ulta. I would recommend it. I love it. Next up is another Anastasia highlight, but this is a single, but it is also a collab, and it is the Anastasia Amrezy highlight. If you watch makeup videos, you're probably sick to death about this highlight, you know, we're tired of it kind of thing, but oh my God, it's so good. And like, it's just so unique. It's like a champagne-y, goldy Bbomb blinding highlight, and also the like texture of it, it looks like sand dunes to me. That's what I think. But anyway, packaging aside, look of it aside, it's just so freaking beautiful. I love it. And when I got that highlight, I wore it every freaking time for, it was an intense situation, but oh my God, it's so good. Next up is another Becca highlight. I know, I love the formula, what can I say? And it is a collab. I buy a lot of collab stuff apparently. And it comes in like the shiny silver packaging. And this is in Parisian lights. This is an amazing highlight. I don't know why it's limited edition. I really don't. It's just so pretty. It's like a goldish, pinkish highlight. It's very unique, super unique. I do not have one that looks like this, and I cannot tell you about one that looks like this. So, I mean, I don't think you can get it anymore, but I just want to talk about how much I love it, how much it's like unique to me, and if you know of any highlight that's like this, if you have this one or you think it looks like another one, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to know a dupe of it, because I know you can't get it anymore. It's just so beautiful and unique, and the formula is great, like I said. And yeah, we're just gonna move right along. So the next two are my other ofra highlighters, and I'm gonna tell you why one is before the other. So number 5 is the highlighter in Star Island from ofra. This is in the newer, updated, like pretty packaging, not like the Rodeo highlighter that I showed you before. I love this highlighter. This is like a beautiful, glowy formula. It goes on really smooth. It's very blinding, and it's also that icy highlighter that I think is not as prominent in like highlighter formulas. I feel like that's just my assumption. Like I said, I do like the ofra formula. It's very blinding, and I do like this one, but I like the next one just a little bit more. And same packaging. It is the collaboration with Samantha March. It is called the marchbeautyword highlight. It's not available anymore because it's a collab, which is really sad. But inside is a mixture of Star Island and Pillow Talk. So I get the Star Island in this highlight, and I also get Pillow Talk, which is a more pinky highlight. This highlight looks great mixed together, but because of the different sections, you can wear each of the shades independently, which I think is fantastic, and that's why it's higher on the list. Okay, this gets really hard. The top 3 were really hard, but number 3 goes to Urban Decay, and this is in the shade Sin. This is a more like champagne, almost icy highlight, and I don't know why this formula isn't talked about more. It's beautiful, very, very buttery almost, very smooth on the skin, buildable but blinding. It's amazing. I freaking love it. Don't know why it's not talked about more. I would recommend, definitely. The number 2 spot goes to my last Becca highlighter, and it's in Champagne Pop. This is just a constant love for me. Every time I use it, I love it. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's like a soulmate highlighter almost. It's just so beautiful. It looks more gold in the pan than it does on my face. It's just beautiful. It goes on buttery. It's very blinding, very, not necessarily metallic, but it's very, very highlighting. I love it. I mean, it came out a while ago and it's still at the very, almost top. Champagne Pop. Now, number 1, I'm wearing right now. Didn't plan that, but I'm wearing it right now. It's my Natasha Nona Super Glow Highlight in the shade Fair. It's actually more, it's definitely like a glowy champagne to me, but it also has like a little bit of pink. I cannot get over this formula. It's beautiful. It's very, very soft. So I was worried like in transit to me on the road, in shipping, that it was gonna break. I was so worried, but it didn't, and I'm so happy. I'm always so careful when I use it because I don't want to drop it and break it. So just know that about the formula, but it just goes on super blinding. What do you think? I love it, and it is newer than the Champagne Pop Becca highlighter, but man, I just reach for that one so much. It's so metallic, so pretty, so blinding. I love talking about highlighters, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, the Natasha Nona is number 1. Okay guys, so that wraps up this ranking highlighters video. It was a long one. It was a long one, but I can just talk about highlighters all day. How about you? What's your product that you cannot shut up about? I would love to know. Subscribe down below again if you're not already, and like this if you like ranking style videos. But yeah, hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye.